Welcome to another episode of The Spiritually Persistent Entrepreneur with your host, Sharon Wilson, founder and Chief Inspiration Officer of Coaching from Spirit Institute and Master Spiritual Business Mentor. The intention of this show is to provide transformational tips, tools, strategies, and resources that support and empower you to soar and shine in your business now. Enjoy.
Well, welcome everyone. I'm so excited you're listening in, and I'm so excited for our guest today. In our talk today, she'll be sharing about the Inside Out Success Method, and I know we all want to hear about that. So let me introduce you to our amazing guest today. She's the founder of Catalyst Group and creator of the Inside Out Success Method. She started her real estate company, Catalyst Group, at the early age of 19, which is amazing. She sustained her company through the housing crisis of 2007 to 2010 and continued to scale her business beyond the seven-figure mark to become one of the top performing real estate teams in the state of Idaho. Her experience is vast, and she has personally funded and sold a development project consisting of 11 upper-tier luxury homes while still operating her real estate team. So she knows a thing or two about leveraging time. And this inspiration really fueled her pursuit has been to have simplified success. She wants to show us how to simplify success, shine a light on the truth of whatever may be in the way of it, and show others they can do anything that set their mind to it. Now she guides female change makers all over the globe to discover inner freedom and fulfillment using the Inside Out Success Method in her premier consulting program. The purpose of the method is to accelerate transformation, create lasting success, and do it all from a limitless, beautiful inner state. And oh my gosh, who doesn't want to do that? So I'm so grateful to have with us today, Stacy Bahrenfuss. Stacy, it's so great to have you.
Hi, Sharon. Thanks for having me. I'm really excited to be here today.
Thank you. And, Stacy, since my podcast is called The Spiritually Persistent Entrepreneur, I always start out by asking all my guests, what does being a spiritually persistent entrepreneur mean to you?
Yes, that's such a fantastic question. And what that means to me is really understanding that I am the problem and the solution. And, what I mean by that is that everything starts and stops with me. And so if I can approach everything with that mentality, I really empower myself to, persevere and do so with tenacity. When I fall down, if I know I can pick myself back up, I can really, persist through anything that comes my way.
That's so important for these uncertain times, as I'm sure someone has trademarked that by now. So can you share one challenge that stands out that you've faced that's helped you to activate that more in you? They'd like to share with our listeners.
Yes. Yeah. I think that the part of my business that has, dealt with my team and employees and, the speed in which I want to go forward, just really recognize, the frustrations along the way that I've experienced, thinking truthfully that, people are supposed to read my mind, and realizing that's not the case, right? And just seeing that the more I have, taken the time to slow down and set right my expectations, I have had less challenges with my team. And it just goes back to that I'm the problem and the solution. If I take the reins and really outline what those expectations are, or, what that outcome is and what the guidelines are to achieve it, then I'm in charge of that solution.
That's powerful. So, I like to think of that, any challenges or things that we experience really are part of a divine curriculum, and at a soul level, it's something that is really being presented to us for an opportunity for us to kind of move to another level, to activate qualities and things that maybe we wouldn't have activated had we not experienced that. I know for a lot of times when I have divine curriculums, I say, hey, I would never have signed up for that class. I mean, something's askew here because I wouldn't have signed up for that. So what do you think the spiritual theme or kind of divine curriculum in those challenges or those areas you talked about has been, and what do you kind of wish you knew then that you know now?
Yes. And I just can't agree with you more. I love the spiritual divine curriculum because
Mm.
when you look at it that way, it becomes more fun and you can approach it in a state of curiosity. So, I think the biggest just consistency through and through has been speaking up for what I want and asking for what I want. Because if
Oh.
I look at the, women specifically in my life, mother, grandmother, great grandmother, and of course, also the history of women, that's something that we didn't always have available to us. And we've developed that skill to ask for what we want and be clear about it, no matter if it lets someone else down or, something of that nature. And so I think that's been the biggest, curriculum piece for me. And, what I would tell people that I wish, I knew then was just to take the time, whether it's, through meditation or even just, reflection with yourself and get in touch with what it is that you do want. Because if you don't know what you want, and you also have this, almost hidden prison that is a collective thing for women that, of course, we're coming out of. It's two things working, against you instead of for you in a way. And so I think just slowing down and really getting in touch with what you want and don't waver. Be confident and move forward for those things because it serves not only you but the greater whole.
Oh, that is beautiful. So, and just, and we're all works in progress, right? On this, especially all of us women, because we're really, just stepping into a bigger place of our own power and saying, yes, we're worth it, and we can do that, and we can ask for what we want. So I know that that's really a key thing. So I really appreciate you honing in on that. So let's talk a little bit about why is leading from a clear interstate key to high performance. And for those even handling and running teams and things like that, why is leading from a clear interstate key? And how do you achieve that type of interstate? It's one of the things that you really support people on. So share a little bit about that with our listeners.
Yes. So moving into a clear interstate, is something that's available to us just like the breath is. And what's so powerful about leading and operating from a clear interstate is that you are facing and addressing tasks or challenges, at hand for what they are, instead of also bringing along with you, the baggage from maybe a familiar situation that was like this in the past. You're able to address this situation head on. And so when you can get to a place of a clear interstate, you're no longer operating in chaos and you can make decisions more effectively and strategically because you're not, buried under those past just beliefs or stories or whatever might be affecting you. And so the question of, how do we get to that place is to first know that there's nowhere to get to, which takes a little stress off, takes a little pressure off, and to see that there is some resistance to a part of the situation. It's, best as an example in a situation. So let's, say you have a situation with team, is whatever is triggering you, recognizing that there's a piece that you're resisting, and that is what is adding fuel to the fire. And so if you can see the truth of your state, which is, as an example, the belief about the person you're dealing with, for instance, I don't like dealing with this person, instead of truly feeling like I don't like dealing with this person and then making yourself wrong because you truly feel that way. All you need to do is acknowledge your feelings with yourself about yourself. And then you'll notice a piece that comes forward so that you can start to operate from a higher level of consciousness and awareness and address whatever needs to be addressed from that clear inner state.
So maybe go a little bit further with that example. So let's say I'll give you an example if you don't mind. I'm just going to kind of share with you because this is one of the things that came up recently in our membership community, is about people feeling like. Especially people that have their own business, coaches and healers and consultants and all of those kinds of folks, but people overall in general, especially with women, feeling like, that it's really a difficult time to sell to people, quote unquote, during these kind of uncertain times. And so, okay, that's a story, right? That's a belief using your example, right? So they would acknowledge that. And then just kind of walk us through a little bit with the way you would support someone and kind of making a shift around that and getting to that inner state so that they can then, take action.
Absolutely. Yes. And I so appreciate the example so that it can be of utmost value.
Yeah.
So in this example, there's the story which we've acknowledged. And if we go deeper on that story, there is a part of you that's trying to protect yourself and provides an excuse. We can call that the small self, the past self. And so there's oftentimes something that is beneath the story that's creating the story and putting the blame externally. It's not a good time to sell, versus what's really going on is likely a belief or some sort of insecurity that you may feel uncertain. It's so uncertain for you in this time that's projecting into these situations, around other people and them purchasing. And so taking a look at that insecurity, where that often leads us is to something that happened in early life, early childhood, where there was a rejection or a part of yourself that
Yes.
you left behind when you were rejected or put someone out. That's what I think in something like this, it's more about, are people going to buy right now? Because it's hard for a lot of people. People are losing their jobs. There's some bad things happening. And the switch needs to be flipped of it happening to you, because in that you're taking that story on as an excuse as to why your programs aren't selling.
Exactly.
And so if you can, that's that truth. And so it's one of those where it feels like very direct and a little uncomfortable. And I always say that's where we know we hit that chord.
Absolutely. That's really great because, I always say, well, if you believe it's true for you, then it's true for you. But in every economy and every situation, there are people that really do want and need what you have. They may not know yet that they want and need it. It's not like they show up in the morning and say, oh, here's my, to-do list today. Oh, go find someone who does this, but energetically they're asking for it. And so you just really need to connect in at that energetic level. And what might be keeping them from doing that is this belief, right? So that kind of makes the signal and the connection be weaker, kind of like static on a line, if you will.
Exactly. Yes.
So that's really great. I appreciate that because that is something that has been coming up, quite a bit with folks, and I appreciate you addressing that. So why don't you talk about your triple threat system and tell us a little bit about that and how a daily routine sets the stage for lasting success?
Yes. So everything that I do, as I had said prior to us coming live, is to simplify things, because if we have a simple and direct process, then we can add to it. And so the triple threat system is the very basic daily routine that you can take with you, whether you have 3 minutes or you have 30 minutes to an hour, if that was your typical, daily routine time. And what that is to first start with a deep breathing exercise. So that's the first. And so the triple threat is all in threes. So do 3 minutes of conscious breathing to relax and slow down the racing mind. And you can set timer on your phone for 3 minutes. And when you breathe in, say, I'm inhaling. When you exhale, say to yourself, I am exhaling, and do that for 3 minutes. The purpose there is to calm, the soil, if you will, so that everything you do next is built upon steady, stable ground versus chaos and creating more chaos.
Right.
So the second step is to write out 3 things you're grateful for and try to do the simplest forms of gratitude. I'm grateful that I was able to get out of bed this morning and walk and brush my teeth, because the more that we can focus the mind on the simple things, the more we can recognize that and welcome in more of the simple things, which get bigger and bigger over time, the good things. Then the last step is to review your 3 short and 3 long-term goals. And having that in front of you every day helps with, if you want to add a visualization step to this, if you have more time, if you want to, kind of do some strategy, reflection on, what's the one thing you can do to achieve this today. But having those 3 short and long-term goals front of mind every day allows you to focus better and also to adjust things as you move forward, because a lot of times we set goals for, a quarter. And if you keep them front of mind and focused, all of a sudden, you're 45 days in and you're already there. And so it allows you to, evolve at the right pace. And so from there, you can then add, like I said, if you want to, go down the route of doing visualization or, reading your book for 10 minutes on top of that. But this way it can be, a short practice or a long practice that's easy to execute on.
That's awesome, because what it is it's, and I totally am aligned with this, is it's creating intention, and it's really aligning our energy and our intentions with what it is that we want to create. And so, we can't just kind of go out into the world without this focus, because we'll just literally be like a leaf blowing in the wind or blowing in a tornado, more like that, because the energy is moving so quickly.
Yeah.
And right. When you say long-term and short-term, give us a perspective. So long-term, would you say is more like the quarter, and short-term is more like this week, or kind of what do you look at?
Yes.
Simplification.
So that definitely, that does change for me. So, sometimes when I am in a really focused project that has different aspects to it, I will break it down per week.
Right.
But typically, it would be over the month and then over the quarter.
Okay. That's awesome. So can you also talk a little bit about how the inside out success method helps women leaders distinguish between the different interstates and attain freedom and fulfillment by using the methodology? Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So my belief is that if we can come from that clear interstate, we can create more intentionally, on purpose, and faster, impacting our lives positively and everyone else that's directly involved and the collectives that, we won't ever know. And so when we can look at the pillars of our lives, the mental, emotional, physical, etc., and we can dive deep into each one, it's often that anywhere that you feel resistance, or there's a victim consciousness connected to that. And so when you can dig into that and see that, the belief is it's happening to you, and that truth, similar to what we had talked about in that example earlier, it flips the switch so that you're not waiting to be in the driver's seat, until you talk to whomever. You're able to self-source. So that's really what the Inside Out Success Method is about, is to guide women leaders to the process of how to self-source, from how to self-source in how they show up in their families and their business, personally, etc. And when we can do that, we're no longer reliant on those external validations or situations affirming that we're on the right path, or supplying energy. And a lot of us, myself included, when this pandemic hit, I really noticed how much energy I got from being out with people and my clients and out in the field in different ways. And so that was an area that I was able to look at more and more, of how to self-source, so that whether or not I'm out with people, that's not a concern. And what I really find is that the things that aren't working in women's lives specifically, or that they want to improve, are areas that they have not yet learned, or there's something blocking them in delivering that to themselves. And so as soon as they start to see that all of these limitations can be cleared up by how to provide this to themselves, they truly become limitless, because now it's just like, well, what flavor do you want and what thing do you want to achieve?
Mm-hmm. Yes, it's beautiful. So what is the missing ingredient to whole life success? That's something that you work with people on. So I had some interest in you sharing more of that with our listeners.
Yes, it's very basic, and it is connection to self, and connection to purpose. If you look at a lot of the, times when people get, in a dark place, it's often because that feeling of, meaninglessness or lack of purpose is present. And so discovering connection at a deep level with oneself and truly belonging to oneself is this journey of whole life success that you can take with you wherever you go, because you're connected with yourself.
And I think this is really just so key, because so often, especially for women, they're always looking at, or I'm going to say always, but a lot of times the things that come up is, they're not good enough. They compare themselves to other people in a lot of ways, right? Because that sort of has been set up conditionally for women in a lot of ways. And I think social media can really exacerbate that. Right? I'm not as pretty as this person. Oh, I'm not as successful as this person. Oh, I'm not doing it right. I'm not, all the comparison, the kind of, I always suggest to people to go on a comparison diet. Like this, let's stop comparing, because that in and of itself is just dragging your energy down, and it's a spiral. And a lot of, and people will show us who they want us to show, but, behind the scenes, we all know everyone struggles, everyone struggles with something, some beliefs or some confidence or something. They're just not going to tell you about it. That's why I love having people like you on that are transparent and say, yeah, absolutely. But this is a way that you can begin to start self-sourcing or, managing this for yourself. So you're not expecting that, you're not looking to outside circumstances to change for you to find your pace, for you to find your flow, for you to be in that process, but it is a process. So when you think about the idea of connection for people, what is the one thing you think that women can do to really, bolster that sense of confidence and value in themselves, that connection to the value of what they bring, especially, when you are in business and you are selling yourself? You're not selling a widget, and you shifted from that, right? Selling, although I would say selling properties and things like that is really an experience. It's not really the property anyways. It is helping people to connect with, them making a connection to an experience that they want, the essences of what they want. But what would you say in your system, or just some advice that you would provide with women feeling a connection to their value and being able to really activate that sense of connection to their value, so that they can go out and ask for the sale, they can ask for and enroll people in their programs or whatever? What would be something that you feel guided to share with people?
Yes, it's a simple practice, and it's so powerful, and that is, make a list of 30 of 30 words that you would use to describe yourself. So that's step one. And step two is to write out at least 10, but try to also go for 30. It's a long list of all of the accomplishments, all of the experiences that you have, gone through, or honors, recognition you've received, as simple as, it's not simple, but, leading a club group, or your, children's class in some way, to a board,
Yeah.
homework, everything. Like, just do a brain dump, and then look, and then print it and look at it. If you're typing it out, writing it out, and reflect on that, and it will help connect to your greatness and your value. Because especially for us as women, I think that, we just go. It's like our heads down and we're getting things done. And it's so easy, and it happens so much that we disconnect from all of that. And so going through that process is such an amazing way to connect to the truth of who you are and what you're made of.
I love that because, when you focus in on a thought for 17 seconds, it attracts another thought, right? So what I love about your process is that if you come up with 30 positive words about yourself, whatever that is, and you keep that in front of you, you're going to continually activate that energy, that higher vibration, right? And so you are shifting the neural pathways with that process that you gave us. So I think that's really, really powerful. And I really appreciate all the really solid take action kinds of things that are simple. And that's, key with you, that is simple, but also that people can really begin to start. And I know that you've brought a gift so that people can take this to another level. They can continue on this. So can you tell us a little bit about this gift that you've brought for our listeners?
Yes. So I have brought a very helpful, and it's just a checklist I use day in and day out. And it's the 6 steps to sacred success. And what it does is it takes you through everything from, your physical, emotional, goal setting, meditation, all the things that really are the foundational aspects to success. And not only success, but creating sacred success that's sustainable and that we can really build upon no matter where you are in life.
Well, that sounds fantastic. And I know coming from you, it will be, focused on the essence of simplicity, focused on the essence of inner, and connecting those two. And I just really appreciate you. I really appreciate the work that you're doing. I'd love to have you back on. We can dig into this even more, but I want to really suggest people just start with what you've offered here today, and make sure if they go to the episode page, your gift link is there, and also in our success directory for those of you who are already a member of our podcast community. You get a lot of extra value. You get access on a ongoing basis to the gifts that our guests have provided. So, if they're on the episode page, they're there for a period of time, but they're there longer in that directory. So we really appreciate that. So I just really love what you've created here. And is there anything you want to share in closing, Stacy?
I just think, remember that fear is always going to be there, and it's fear of the current circumstances in the world, or fear of something, at a more simple level in our daily lives. And just remember that you have the choice to see the fear and drive things forward, so stay educated and knowledgeable of what's happening, but decide to not take on the fear that isn't yours, or isn't, true to your state of affairs. Just to stay really grounded in, what you're after and what it is that you want to do.
Wow, that's fantastic. So, I really appreciate you being here with us. We appreciate your light and your service. us. And we just really are grateful for your wonderful gift. And I really want to encourage people to go to the episode page right now and get that gift, because you don't know how long that will be there and available for you. So I want to make sure you get that and start with these very simple, but very, very powerful things that Stacy's talked about here today. And it will begin to activate you to really allow yourself to be aligned with all the success that's on its way to you. So again, Stacy, thank you so much for being here. We so appreciate you.
Thank you, Sharon. It was my pleasure.
Thank you. So everybody, we'll see you back here next time. And we see you living lives of love and joy and peace, health and prosperity in all ways, always. See you back here next time, everybody.
Do you hate selling, yet love to be of service? In my free masterclass, you will discover 3 soulful secrets to client conversations that feel joyful, easy, and fun. Using these secrets, one of my clients made $8,000 in 1 week, and another client made $100,000 in less than 6 months. Register now at www.coachingfromspirit.com/masterclass.